In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Hi, welcome to Materialise, the Launch Tabletop podcast, where we talk about turning game ideas into tangible objects. This episode is recorded on the 16th of June 2023, and it's episode 28. Today it's just me, and I'm chatting about Maglev Metro, Mesozoic Mayhem, and Cat Drayer at Origins 2023. Alrighty, so it's just me today. Everyone else is a bit busy, and this is how it worked out. So it's just me. So I've been away at a board game convention called BorderCon, which is in Albury, New South Wales, and I was there last weekend, and it was 4 days, but for me it was just 5 or 6 days of, or 5 days of gaming, and I left on the next day. So it's pretty intense and really enjoyable, and I played a few games, and so I want to talk about 2 of them today. And just a couple of things I thought were really neat about them and stuff that you might find interesting to hear about. And then I'll also talk about, we have Cat Drayer from Drayer Inc. and also who works for Launch Tabletop. She's going to be at Origins Game Fair at the UnPub room. And there's a bit of a surprise. So I won't bury the lead too much. If you give her a passcode, you'll be able to get a free gift while stocks last. So I'll just do a very, very quick banner. If you go to Origins Game Fair 2023 and you find Cat Drayer in the UnPub room, then give her the password Stellar, STELLAR, and while stocks last, you'll get a surprise. So that is that. Let's go to the thing. All right. So basically, like I said, I was away at BorderCon for last weekend. Technically, it goes over Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. But I got in the Thursday night, left the Tuesday morning. So also got some games in on the Thursday evening, which was really cool. And it was great catching up with people and all that kind of stuff. It's a smaller convention by some standards, in that's around the 180 people mark, but they have a fixed size. Like, they don't change the size every year, so it's a smaller convention. And it was my 6th one, I think, I've been to, and really enjoyable. It's definitely one of the highlights of my year, if not probably the gaming highlight of my year. Just a nice 4 days to play games and do stuff. And obviously I play tested a little bit while I was there, and play tested other people's games while I was there, but also just played some published games. So we're going to talk about 2 published games today, and I will just bring up the screen. So the first game that I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to use the Board Game Geek listing to show us some pictures and talk a little bit about it. So the first game that I had not heard of, and only heard of when I got there and played, was called Maglev Metro, and it's designed by Ted Alspatch. I don't know if I'm saying his name correctly. Published by Bézier Games and others. Bézier. I don't know what I should know how to say that, because I mean, I use Bézier curves in graphic design all the time, like with vectors. So I don't know how you say it. So anyone, feel free to tell me. So basically, with Maglev Metro, I'm going to have to look to the side, sorry, because my screen is over here. Basically, I just realized, I wonder if I can move my thing. Nah. Sorry, I was going to try and put my video feed on the other side of the screen so that I could see, like, I don't know, I thought it might make sense, but now I'm looking away from the screen. Oh, I need to practice this more, don't I, folks? So basically, Maglev Metro is a train network building game with also like a pick up and deliver and action assignment. I don't know the best way to describe it. System. Although there you go. They say it's tile laying, engine building game. Yep, I agree with that. So basically, I'll bring up the picture, the first cover box cover. So you can see here, like, it's got that underground railway kind of vibe. Basically, what you are doing in the game is you are building these see if I can zoom in on that a little bit. So you're building out your rail network, and each player has a unique code. Color code, like color, unique color. I'm a little bit tired, folks. Sorry, player color. Everyone has a unique player color, and one of the really cool things about the game, and I'll see if they've got a photo of it here. Here we go. So you can see here, it's got these really cool tiles that are transparent acrylic, and so they overlay onto the map, which means that so you can see there's like this has already got track laid on it, so different player colors, and going to different locations on the map. And basically you're trying to build your rail network, so it's your color, and it's got these really cool clear tiles that mean that you can overlay different player colors. It's just going to load. I don't know why it's not loading. Yeah, I don't know why it's not loading properly for me, but you've got these clear tiles. Okay, so each player has the same combination of tiles, and they're a mixture of straights and curves. And if effectively you're trying to connect up your rail network to meet certain objectives to get points. And I won't bore you with all that. You can look at some other videos on like the how to play and all that kind of stuff. What I wanted to bring up was a couple of things that I thought were interesting about it that I just, figured people might find fascinating for their own game designs, or if they're looking for, like if they're doing something similar already, if you're doing something similar already. So with the clear tiles, what they've done is they've made it so that when you lay out the tiles, so you can see here that there's four colors on there, the lines that are going around from station to station. So they're all different players, and the way that they've designed the tiles means that the player colors never overlap each other. And so if you are laying track down where another player has already laid track down, assuming you meet all the regular placement rules, then you can lay your track on top, and then you've got your network whilst they've got their network going between different stations. You can never, as a player, use somebody else's network to pick up and deliver passengers, but you can... you can use, depending on the map. So this is one of the default maps, the Manhattan one, and it's got this hub in the middle where you can swap and change. But yeah, you can't ever actually use somebody else's track. You've got to use your own track to get from point to point. And then it basically has more of the tiles, which are really cool. So it's got these really cool little trains that hold up to 4 passengers, and the photo probably doesn't do it quite justice. They're little like hefty metal and plastic pieces, and the meeples, well, I suppose you call them meeples. They're a different design of meeple. They you can see some in this photo here on stations. They fit neatly in the train, and it's really nice. Like, it's very satisfying. This is part of one of the player boards, and showing some of the action, like the way that you can unlock actions and do more powerful actions. So basically, yeah, here's a bit of a train close up. So some of the stuff that I really liked about it was that the track laying was interesting, and you overlap other players, so you can get your track to different places, but you can't ever put your own track on top of your own track. So if you had a straight piece going to one point, you can't then put a curved piece and have it kind of branch off from the same side of the same station. For most of the stations, except for the hub, you can only have two sides with tracks coming out of. So it means that you need to plan that, because you can get yourself caught if you block yourself off. But anyway, the main takeaways that I wanted to mention is that the track laying with the tiles, which is really cool. The metal and plastic trains, and hold the the passengers, is very interesting and satisfying to use, to pick them up and move them. I'll just see if I can find a photo of. So these are the player boards. Sorry, it's not very zoomed in. I don't know how to do better. So basically, the player boards have a whole lot of spots where you can put passengers as you deliver them to their station. So you start with 3, bronze, silver, and gold, and they unlock different portions of the board. let me just see if I can find a close-up photo. So basically, they unlock sections of the board. Here we go. Here's showing just the trains in another view. What's this close-up of part of the board? So you've got you can see here, you've got the spots where you can put your passengers, and there's the bronze, silver, and gold ones who are, I'm not sure what the correct term is. We call them robots. I don't know if that's actually their name in the rule book. I didn't actually read it myself, to be honest. But basically, they let you do the normal actions. And so you can see on here that the spaces, the first, so there's everyone has one kind of printed on the card robot, so they can do one of the action. But if you add a second robot, so you can see on capacity, this player's added a silver robot to that slot, then whenever they do a capacity action, they can do up to 2 passengers at a time, like load them, have them in a train when they're moving it. Similarly, for the other things, the color background tells you what robots can go on those action spaces. So if it's the 3 colors, you can put any of the 3, and then it might go to silver or bronze or gold. And yeah, it was just interesting. There's a bit of a puzzle because the human passengers, who are the other colors, so they're sort of like a light pink, a pink, a light purple, a reddish color, and like a darker red, or sort of darkish red corally color, and a dark purple. When you assign them to your board, they're locked in. They can never be moved. So you've got to have a bit of planning. So there's a few zones on the board to be mindful of. Someone's done some fancy tile 3D printed holders. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so basically these little workers, you're assigning them, is interesting. There's a puzzle because you've got to like figure out where you want to put them and then move them around. And there's only one spot that lets you reassign those robot workers. I just found it interesting, and I found I played it twice. I played it as a 4-player and a 3-player, and we played 2 sides. The board has 2 sides, the standard one that comes with it. And so I think it might be Tokyo and Manhattan from memory. And basically you can choose what side of the board, but the board's like modular, and there's apparently a lot of other boards. My friend whose game it was said they've got another, I think 6 boards or 4 boards or something. They've got a whole bunch of extra maps. So there's a lot of opportunity for variety there if you get used to a certain layout and you want to change it. Some really nice photos that people have taken of the board. So yeah, I recommend checking it out. It's interesting. The tiles, particularly the acrylic tiles, is the fascinating part for me from a component point of view. But then also the actual trains themselves and putting the passengers in, like you can see here, it's just a cool thing. Yeah, I won't bore you with more details about the game in general, but I recommend you check it out. I recommend even watching some videos. I found it, interesting, and got me thinking about how I can use tiles and colored, clear tiles, and overlay them in game design. So it's kind of got my brain thinking about that. So has anyone here played it? Let me know if you have. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on the components and the way they interact with the mechanics. And probably one small grievance was the colors of them were a bit confusing. Like the bronze and the gold looked quite similar at a first glance, depending on the lighting. So that was a little bit tricky. And but it's not insurmountable, but it's just something to be mindful of if you do play it. All right. So the second game that I want to bring up is called Mesozoic Mayhem. It's by Craig Somerton, who is an Australian designer who I know and I'm friends with, and he brought his game along to show off, playtest, demo, a mixture of all things. It's sort of it's basically, as far as I understand, it's basically a finished game, and so it's very, very playable. It's more than playable. It's really, really good. Really clever way to take on trick taking. So basically, there's not really any photos, I don't think, because it's brand new. Here we go. There's a couple of photos here of some people playing it. That's Craig with the glasses and beard in the background there. And so the logo, it's a cool logo. I genuinely love that logo. And then there's the game. So that's the thing. It's a very small, it's like a wallet-sized, it might even be 18 card game. Let's see, does it say on BGG if it's 18 card? 21 card. There we go. I was close. So basically, it's a trick-taking game. One of the things about it that's interesting is, and this photo I don't think shows it. So there's different suits for the dinosaurs, and they've got numbers on them, but the distribution is not equal, and there's a cheat sheet card that shows the distribution, and the backs of every suit show the color of that suit, so they're not shared backs. They are unique for that suit. So all of the blue dinosaurs have the blue backs, or the yellow ones have a yellow back, and so on. And what that means is that when you play the game, one of the core kind of concepts is that you get your hand of cards, and you will then bid with everyone, like you do a kind of like 1, 2, 3. Just, put your fingers up for how many things you're going to bid for, and you will then basically be bidding on what you think, how many tricks you think you can win. So that's like times around the table, people playing cards. Fairly typical trick taker mechanic in that sense. But the bidding is interesting. And the twist is also that fact that you can see what everyone's got in their hand in the sense of the suits, which tell you a possible number range, because like the cheat sheet shows you exactly what cards are in the deck. And so it means that you can kind of have an idea. Now, not all the cards are used in every game, so not all of them are going to be on the table. So there is some uncertainty about, do they have an 8, do they have a 9, or a 1 or whatever from that particular suit. And it means that you don't, like, you got some information to work with, and you can sort of like try and obviously plan your bidding, but you don't know for a fact. And yeah, I found it really fascinating. I recommend you check it out as well. I believe Craig has it available. Let me just check. Okay, he's got the rules as a PDF up on BGG, so you can check that out, and just obviously contact him if you're interested in trying to play a copy of it. I don't know exactly where he's got it available. I believe it's he's just self-publishing, like it says web published here. So I think he's just doing like a few copies at a time for anyone that wants it. But so if you do want to, recommend you get in touch. And if you're a publisher and you seems like an interesting little idea, I recommend checking it out. If you're looking for a small trick taker, then I think it's a really enjoyable one. And that core kind of system of like seeing and I mean, he says it here, but like the fact that you can see the suits, like exactly what someone's got in their hand in terms of the suit, which means you have an idea about the range of like numbers, but you don't know exactly, and you obviously know what's in your hand. So it makes the bidding quite interesting. And the scoring then basically, like, depending on how you bid is how you score. So it's actually not about necessarily winning the trick, because you might bid to only win one trick, and there's going to be maybe like 4 or 5 in the round. And so if you bid one and you only win one, then you get the maximum score for that, which I think is like just one or 2 points. It's not like a big numbers point game. But you can also get negative points. So if I bid 1, but then won 2 tricks, so if I bid that I was going to win just 1 trick, but then I bid 2, I would basically have lost that bid, and so I'd get potentially negative points. So yeah, it's interesting push-pull. I recommend you check it out. And the art's really pretty too, just some fun dinosaurs. All right. So the third thing that I would like to bring up is that Launch Tabletop through Cat Drayer is going to be at Origins Game Fair in the UnPub room. So like I said before, I put up the banner. I'll do it again so you can see the thing. So basically, UnPub room, I've never been, but as far as I understand, it is like a huge room, and you can see here they're open. It's room C151, and they're open all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days for playtesting. And so there'll be a lot of game designers there, and I assume publishers as well who are checking out stuff. So I recommend you go. If you do go, then look for Cat Drayer in the room and give her the password Stella, and I'll give you a sneak peek. So if on the Launch Tabletop Facebook page, there's this post that shows, so that's what Cat looks like with the blue hair. She's going to have her game bubble net there, which is really cool. I'm very much looking forward to playing that game one day. I haven't played it yet, but it looks interesting, and I'm very, very intrigued by it. So Cat has a few things here. So some of our tech decks, which I haven't brought with me. Oops, I just banged the microphone. The tech decks are not in I don't have my copy in front of me, but it's a little tool that we've made to help with getting more consistent results with your printing and manufacturing, and so looking at graphic design for your games. And then the other thing that we've got, which is one of the other giveaways as part of this little, what's it called? Like a mission, maybe? I don't know. Like if you're trying to find someone and then give them the password, like is that a mission? I guess that's a mission. Is these little game design mint tin things that we put together. So these have, and again, I've got a version. Don't have these versions, but I've got an earlier version. But these have many versions of our designer deck in them. So our designer deck is 6 suits of cards, numbered 1 to 12, with an unnumbered like hero card or like more interesting card, and 2 wild cards plus 10 blank cards. So and this mint tin one also has some wooden pieces, some like little tokens of different sizes or different shapes, and a D6 for each color. So for prototyping, you can use it to come up with some ideas and see what happens. So if you look for Cat, then I think that's the last photo. Yeah. So if you look for Cat, then you'll if you give her the password Stella, you'll be able to potentially get one of the tech deck or the mint tins. And yeah, so that is that. On that topic, though, I was away at BorderCon. This is just a post I made, and I took along my full-size designer deck that I've got and did some game concepting. I also took a bunch of pieces. Some of them are from Launch Lab, so from Launch Tabletop. Some of them are just ones that I've collected over the years. And I ate some soup. And yeah, so you can see like there's these pieces. These ones in the photo here are all Launch Tabletop ones. And I was just kind of saying, and they all match the suit colors, except I actually got it slightly wrong. I've put green in and there's no green in that suit, but I did have the pieces to the side for the colors that are in the suit. I think it was a blue that replaced that, like a dark blue. Yeah, so I did some concepting and trying to come up with some stuff while I was away, and that was interesting, and I've got a little kernel of an idea. So the mint tins have this like basically mini Euro versions of this design deck in there with some wooden pieces, just one of each, and not all those wooden pieces exactly, but some like I think there's like a disc and other stuff, disc and a cube and the D6. I don't remember exactly. You'll have to check with Kat. I don't recall exactly what's in there. So yeah, that's basically it. Let's go back to me. I'll remove that thing. So yeah, that's all for today. It's just a really quick one. Just wanted to talk about a little bit about Maglev Metro and Mesozoic Mayhem, which I do highly recommend you check out and see what kind of it inspires you, or makes you think about in terms of components or like limits. So like Maglev has the interesting like acrylic tiles that overlay over each other, as well as the train and actually putting your passengers into the train and moving them in a nice way. And then the Mesozoic Mayhem has the concept of like that, little wallet size game with a few cards, but it's like a really interesting way, like using the limitations of the few cards and whatever to come up with an interesting game. So highly recommend it. Yeah, so that's everything for today. If you do want to check out Launch Lab, which is our print-on-demand game service, then just head to launchtabletop.com. If you do decide to make an order, you can set up game projects and stuff for free. You can just try it out to see, how things look for what you want to do. If you decide to make an order, then use Materialise, the code Materialise at checkout. That's Materialise for 20% off your next order. It doesn't include shipping. And I think that's about all I am going to say today. I'll get rid of the banner. Oh, didn't get rid of the banner. I pressed the wrong button. So that's basically it. Just a short one today. And yeah, just is there any games that you've been playing that you found interesting component-wise that maybe I should check out? So if you let me know, then I will do my best to find them and play them and talk about them. Particularly looking at interesting into like how the components affect the gameplay and what you've found interesting uses of different custom components, or just components that maybe aren't quite as common in other games. So these acrylic discs, hexes, were the standout one for me in the Maglev Nation. What am I making up? Maglev Metro. Boy, I'm getting it confused. Oh, that reminds me. I did play Next Station London. So we had Matt Dunstan on a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of episodes ago, and we talked about his Spiel du Jour is that how you say it? Nominated game, Next Station London. I got to play it. It was enjoyable. It was interesting, like the passing of the player boards, and then passing of the colored pencils, and then you are filling in your notepad, your like piece of paper with it, because it's a flip and write. Yeah, fascinating concept. So recommend check it out too. All right, I think that is everything. Gonna play the outro music. So thanks everyone for being here. Bye.